Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome to another video. Today we're looking at the 4th longest overtime in competitive Rocket League history, but first, the game that leads up to it. It is RixGG versus Sandrock Gaming. This is the new look Sandrock Gaming with TRK on the roster, and we're going to be looking at this whole replay from TRK's POV since he is the new player on the team. Let's see what he is doing and exactly how he's slotting into the established duo of Ahmad and Khaled, two of the longest standing players as a duo in competitive Rocket League history. But a little bit about their opponents. RixGG. This team is a long overtime magnet. I don't know how, but they just seem to keep getting stuck in them. And you know, maybe it's actually their opponents who are stuck in them with Rix, because they just know how to get into these overtimes and stay there. 3 of the top 5 longest overtimes in Rocket League competitive history belong to RixGG and their 3 opponents in those matches. They have the second longest with themselves against BS Plus competition. That was actually the longest RLCS overtime ever. The only longer overtime than that was Dignitas Vitality from 2018. But the other 4 rounding out the top 5 are all from this year. 3 of them are RixGG. The only one that isn't is Galaxy Racer BDS. So it's just ridiculous seeing how good these guys are defensively. They don't like conceding once they get into these overtimes. But speaking of defense, that was, I think, the biggest topic when everybody's talking about Sandrock Gaming and their acquisition of TRK. How would the defense look? Because they've never had problems in attack. They've never looked bad in offense, and that's not all that surprising. Well, it's not surprising that their offense would be their stronger half of their game, because they play all their games on the EU server, so of course they have to play with the away connection. And we've seen many times recently with cross-region show matches and cross-region friendly matches and videos being put out by lots of people in the Rocket League community that it's easier to attack, because when you're the team who are actually moving the ball around the field, and when you're making plays on the ball, it doesn't feel and it doesn't act any different than a regular connection. Oh, that's actually going to be 1-0 there. TRK's shot wasn't what he planned. It looked like he was trying to set up a double touch off the ceiling, but Ahmad demoed the goalie and it bounces in anyway. So 1-0 for Sandrock in this one. But yeah, when you're on the defensive end of the field and you're having to react to 50-50s, when you're having to react to the fast-paced shooting and the extreme aggression off the ball that is currently in the metagame of pretty much every team, yeah, you're going to struggle, and that's something that Sandrock did struggle a lot with historically, and as well this year with Senzo. So TRK, known as a bit more of a defensive player when compared to Senzo. They're both 2 of the best players in the Middle East, but TRK is often compared a bit more to Khaled than to Ahmad, who was just kind of like, well, I would say Senzo and Ahmad play the game the same way. Very, very difficult to read, just high pace, high aggression. TRK more calculated and more defensive by nature. But this is also an interesting look at the adaptation to SRG's offense, because TRK is very good at making solo plays and he's very good at outplaying people. So with that on the roster, you're looking at now 3 of the absolute best in the business, even just worldwide. This team is easily, I think, the most stacked in terms of solo plays. The only other team that I would say is in the conversation with them would be Dignitas, and yeah, those guys are also going to be very interesting with Scrub on the roster. Haven't yet seen them play with Scrub, their new signing with Jorius and Appjack, but I think those are the 2 teams. If I'm just thinking about who can make the most solo plays, it would probably be those guys. Let me know in the comments if there's any other teams that you would put in that conversation as well. But RixGG, very happy to defend, and they're actually trying to bait Sandrock in quite often. They're, you know, trying to keep the ball under control whenever they get it in defense, and this is something I do think Sandrock could work on. And I think that they will probably be making mistakes every now and then in this replay. We can point them out when they lose control of the ball in defense. I think sometimes they get a bit too caught up in trying to clear the danger, and they actually just concede possession in doing so. But they have been the team with the majority of the pressure and the majority of the control up until now. But you all know that there's a goal coming for RixGG, or this wouldn't be the longest, or sorry, the 4th longest overtime ever in Rocket League competition. But it's a late one, as you guys can see here. Double commit from Ahmad, who's on the recovery, and TRK who's coming out the net. TRK really low on boost at the moment. Mike Boy was looking for him. with the demo. Didn't get him, but TRK's boost has really run out now. And Mike Boy finds a way through to Ocelon, fakes it, Speed comes in for the shot. It's going to be saved, but sent straight to Ocelon, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. TRK tries to get the ball away from his net. He did so, but in the process, gave it to the opposing team's Ocelon, and he just sent it straight back into the net. So thank you very much, great pass, and I'll score the goal. So into overtime we go. If I'm not mistaken, Sandrock Gaming's record in overtimes in this tournament was not the best. I believe the format for this event that this replay and this game was played in was a round-robin group stage into a single elimination playoffs, this being the first round of the playoffs, so a quarter-final matchup. And in the group stage, Sandrock's overtime record was not very good. But let's see how they can do here. They were actually having a pretty good matchup, and I think overall were the team with the majority of the chances, looked the more threatening. They just have that one weakness where they just give the ball away in defense at times. Places where it would be better, I think, to just hunt for a 50-50, just wait for the challenge to come to you. They do, I think, just prioritize those soft clears a bit too much. And a soft clear can work if you're passing to your teammate, if you're hitting the ball towards a teammate or into an area that a teammate can challenge, then yeah, even a ball that isn't that far clear is going to be okay. But it's not okay when you're hitting it straight towards the opposition. But don't worry, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that the TRK is the one player to blame for this position. I think that actually all of the Sandrock players in recent time have been making this exact same mistake. They panic clear the ball, and you know, of course they're not really looking for 50-50s in defense in 3v3, because like I said earlier, when a 50-50 happens and you're playing with 80 to 100 ping, you probably have to wait just a split second or two to see where the ball is actually going. You can't just immediately commit when you see the ball moving off that challenge, because it might just go the other way once the server corrects the client side and lets you know where it really went. But nice defense from Ocelon there. He's chipped the ball into a position that's quite difficult to shoot. Ahmad did get the shots on target anyway, but Ocelon able to make a second save. And these are the key touches that RixGG have been making for this entire game. They're keeping the ball awkward in defense. They're not letting immediate shots come back fast towards their net after the clears come through. Corner play once again, but it's a very nice pass from Khaled. Ocelon able to make yet another save, reading that TRK was going to slow down his shot. Sandrock not panicking. They're swarming constantly, creating numerous opportunities, stealing so many boosts as they exit from the blue half, and that is preventing the counterattacks from being all that scary at the moment. And you'll notice that they are still rotating very deep with their third man. Another mistake that I think Sandrock were making in recent performances I saw from them is sometimes just getting a bit too clumped up with their second and third man, and a hard clear would go over the whole team and into the back of the net. But that's not happened at all here. They, you know, have double committed once or twice, but I think every team at the top level double commits every now and again these days, because recoveries are so fast it often doesn't even matter as long as you're moving in opposite directions or different directions. Nice save there. TRK having to do a quick break to avoid the demo that was coming his way. And another good save this time. Khaled blocking the infield pass. TRK takes his time, chips the ball towards Ahmad. Gets a heavy touch to his right. That's not what he was looking for. If he could keep control of that in the air, just get a bit of a softer touch, and surely the flip reset would have been inevitable for a player like Ahmad. TRK quickly transitioning to the ceiling, but that bounce wasn't the one that he was looking for. He was hoping the ball would go straight to the back wall and out to him again. Now here's Speed. TRK has to just try and get goal side. Again, he's able to get the save, but the clear ball is not a safe one. Sandrock struggling at times to get the ball away from their opposition. Now, will TRK just opt for a 50-50 here? Yes, he will. I think that's really smart, because had he gone for an outplay with no boost, if he tries to flick the ball over his man, very good chance he's getting dunked on. Very good chance that they're going to be on the receiving end of another hard shot. Deciding now to rotate back to net as Khaled's called him off it. TRK moves in and almost gets caught out, but quick reaction will deflect the ball to safety. As we approach the double game, no real clear-cut chances for either team just yet, but I think Rix in the overtime have had more possession. They've started to balance the midfield pressure, Here comes Sandrock again. Khaled shoots low under his man, and TRK waits in the middle for Ahmad's double touch. It's going to be a triple, but Speed blocks it. Great read on the back wall there by Speed. Knew that Ahmad would have as many touches as he could there. TRK misses 2 bumps. He was trying to get both, and he ended up going between both players. Zossalon now just narrowly beats him to that mid boost. Khaled. Safe 50-50 by him. Didn't want to try and chip the ball past Speed, who was flying in for a dunk in that position. That looked a bit weird. I'm not sure what exactly happened there, if TRK got bumped or if the demo propelled him forwards, but it looked like he got some acceleration there from somewhere. And he would have loved to have a back post player to aim for there. Khaled and Ahmad were kind of clumped up in the midfield waiting for the backboard play, but had one of them just rotated far side, TRK could have just dropped the ball down on them, lobbing it over the entire defense in the process. It's a fast attack of this near post area that Sandrock are always trying to go for. One player will be facilitating the play, usually down the line, and there will be another waiting in the middle. And they always go quickly at the ball in those positions, completely all in with their second man. Style that's very popular right now. Third man plays safe, second man does not think about the word. Now approaching 6 minutes of overtime. Remember that in order to get into the top 5, you have to go at least past 12, so we have got a while yet. I must say I'm overall impressed with Sandrock's defense because they've made such improvements recently. I think they're going to be a much more solid defensive team with TRK on the roster. You know, they've still got that offensive flair, and I think Khaled especially has been unleashed a bit more. He's confident to be aggressive, knowing that TRK is going to be rotating back a little bit more than Ahmad and a little bit more than Senzo would. But you know, speaking of Senzo, for anyone who is wondering, he's still on the roster as a substitute, and I think this is actually a really smart move by SRG as well, because one of the things you really want to have in a substitute is someone who can be a difference maker in a game. And you know, if they are struggling with a particular matchup, then bringing in Senzo is definitely going to change the matchup dynamic, and it's definitely going to give a bit of comeback potential. He's got the experience, and he's got the offense, he's got the unpredictability. TRK wave dash and now pass up towards Khaled. Thought about lunging forward at the bounce, and Ahmad now misreads the ceiling. Thought it was going to get harder hitting the ball there. Didn't really get much. Khaled goal side. TRK pre-jumps, and that leaves Ahmad briefly alone. But as he often does, oh my goodness, it looked like TRK was expecting that ball to come middle. It looked like a pretty routine clear. Next thing you know, it's a miss, and he was unprepared for it. Ahmad turning a 1v3 defensive play into a 1v3 offensive play very quickly. Now the reset as the ball bounces off the ceiling back towards him. Ahmad really making plays here on the transition. Rick's GG holding on, as you guys will know, because we are not in top 5 overtime territory, not in top 4 territory either. This is, I think, a good sign for any Sandrock fans. The longer the overtime goes and the longer they can go without conceding is just another answer to the question, will they be able to level up defensively? The answer is, you know, becoming a more and more confident yes as we watch here. And the other good news for them and their progression as a team is that I think that some of the mistakes that they're making are quite easy to fix. They're not stuck with mechanical issues that are going to be very difficult to grind out the improvement of. Very nice little fake turn there, TRK, just the subtle fake challenge to force Speed to make a move with the dribble. Briefly a triple commit there for Sandrock Gaming. Very afraid of the incoming shot, as I'm sure they should be from that kind of range. Any shot is going to be far too hard to react to. You need a pre-jump or an early challenge. Ahmad, composure. So he brings the ball to the side of the field again. They've had a much better second half of the game with their clear balls. They're not giving it away in close quarters. We haven't seen any repeats of the mistake that they ended up in overtime because of. Lovely defense again by TRK. Skips over the demo. Puts in a solid challenge. He was staying low on that challenge. He did not want to get mind-gamed. One of the worst things you can do when you're the first defender to challenge a ball in threes is get faked. And the reason for that is because if you get faked, you haven't even forced the opponent to briefly lose control of the ball. Oh, what a recovery. Ossalon in the perfect place, but so is Khaled. TRK now with no boost. Just manages to get the ball out into the middle, and Ahmad ran into that position knowing it's where the ball was headed. TRK, every time he's the first player to challenge a ball, when he's the first player to challenge an air dribble or a dribble, he just makes sure to get some piece of the ball. You have to get contact, because like I said, if you just let him pass you without forcing him to lose control, then you've not done your teammate behind you any favors. You've only made his life more difficult because he's got to now do what you should have done. Ahmad again. Lovely ability to turn defense into attack as he passes to himself off the back wall and then chips it past the first man. Very consistently able to get the ball past multiple opponents. That clear there from Ahmad. It would make more sense, I think, to put that to the left because Khaled's running over there. There's no RixGG players in that area. A little bit of lateral movement would be useful for Sandrock to help them get the ball out of defense and get an attack going as well. TRK shouting Khaled off that one. I think Khaled heard a bit late. He had already taken to this guy. TRK there breaking rotation, but for a good reason. If he didn't do that, then Khaled would have had to vacate the goal to make a challenge, and that would leave them with no goalkeeper in the play. Much better for TRK on his recovery to go straight towards the ball and let Khaled sit in net, wait for the free touch that is likely to happen afterwards. No corner wall pass available for SRG. TRK's boost has been struggling at times. It's a very boost heavy lobby here. Our corner wall double not far off from TRK. Very ambitious shot selection by him. There's Khaled out into the middle. Well read by Speed. That's left TRK in a world of trouble here. Luckily, the bounce was not all that favourable for RixGG. He just has to settle for keeping the ball in the back corner here. Great result from that 50-50 for Sandrock, though. It just gave them a little bit of time to recover, and now Ossalon's ended up in no man's land, which will give TRK a free clear. Speed with a similar kind of idea that we've seen from Sandrock as well in this series, is keeping the ball in the offensive corner, or the defensive corner I should say, just trying to bait the opponents in, and this is something I think Rix have been trying with a lot of consistency. Just wait for Sandrock to come to them and then use the space behind them to try and create scoring chances. 12 minutes 30 seconds, that is into the top 5. If the overtime had ended now, it would be the 5th longest overtime in competitive Rocket League history, but onwards they go. Still so impressive that we haven't seen any absolutely clear-cut chances that should have been goals. I think maybe TRK's open net, but even that, hard to read that it's going to be an open net. Hard to imagine that the defender was going to miss in that position. Apart from that, we've not had any really bad defense from either team. TRK out into the middle. Ahmad knocks it high. It's only going to be a hard clear for Speed now. Looks like he's not able to get the ball past anyone either. Just straight towards Khaled. Bit of a mistake there by Speed. If you're making a touch in 3v3, an uncontested touch where boost is available for you, and you're not getting the ball past anyone or not putting any of the opponents under pressure, then it is a bad touch. And here comes TRK. Pre-flip redirect attempted. No success, but Khaled's in on the play and scores the winning goal. 13 minutes and 32 seconds into overtime. Just take a look at that scoreboard. Unreal. 8 saves for Khaled, 6 for TRK. Definitely the two defensive players like we expected from this roster, but a far more balanced look from RixGG. They're not using one player to really disrupt the rotation in the midfield and try to pressure the ball as much as possible like Sandrock Gaming have in Ahmad. But yeah, that I think shows why they're so comfortable and why they always have been so comfortable in these long overtimes, just defending. But credit to Sandrock, they also look very good in defense here, and they're making less mistakes every time I see them play. That one mistake, it is a perfect example of what Sandrock often, I think, do wrong. Or I mean, let's just take a look at this play, not because this is a game throwing play, but because I think it illustrates something that is often done wrong in Rocket League games, and that is just kind of a panic clear. Now, the reason why TRK is knocking this ball clear is because he knows that there is going to be a player in the area. He's got great awareness, and he knows that this is not going to be a ball that he can just ignore. He can see Mike Boy to his left, and of course, he knows that if he doesn't do something with this ball, then Mike Boy will. So he needs to do something. He can't just ignore this. He can't just leave the ball in front of his own net. But of course, you know, he's got 100 pings, so he's got to imagine if he sees Mike Boy here, then Mike Boy might actually be here. You know, you've always got to imagine the player closer than you think when you're playing with about 96 ping like TRK is. So that's why he's rushing this touch. The problem is that he rushes it into the wrong area. He accidentally hits it straight into the path of Ostalon, who's then able to shoot the ball right back on target. Now, obviously the correct thing to do here would be to just hit the ball to the right. Very difficult to compose yourself and make that decision and hit the ball perfectly into the corner with this kind of reaction time. Also, I imagine with this demo and this very glancing blow kind of touch from Ahmad, I'm not sure what TRK saw here. He might have seen the ball zigzag before he comes in to hit it. But yeah, whatever he saw, the play here is absolutely to knock it into the corner so that he can keep it in a position that isn't immediately strikeable. And this is something that I think Sandrock can work on. Not just in this position, but in lots of positions, in lots of series and lots of games and lots of moments that I've seen from them. They'll have the option to clear the ball straight into the corner, and they hit it more out into the midfield or sometimes straight down the middle to try and get a counter-attack going immediately, and they do get punished if there's an opponent waiting in either of those positions. You're far more likely to run into an immediate shot or an immediate pass from your opponents if you clear the ball straight down the middle. That's usually the worst thing you can do when you're clearing the ball in Rocket League. Funnily enough here, that would have potentially been better because we're in the very last seconds of the game, so of course Ricks are really pressing up aggressively. But usually in Rocket League, if you're in the mid game and it's a close game, there will be a player lurking around about the midfield area, and you don't want to clear the ball straight towards the center because that's very likely to be intercepted unless of course you can see a teammate there that you are passing to. But this is also a dangerous area to hit the ball towards, whether it's high or low. I mean, this is a low clear, and as you can see, Ostalon is there to grab it. Even if he's not in the perfect position, even if he's not literally coming down off the sidewall, I mean, it couldn't be in a better spot, really. But, you know, a player running in, just grabbing this mid boost and coming in from this angle is also likely when you're trying to clear the ball. So trying to keep the ball in the back corner is better against that. And if you're hitting the ball high, if you're hitting it into the air, then using this angle to clear is not very good either, because it will actually bounce off this wall and then go middle, which is more likely to get intercepted. So just bear that in mind. Always try and clear the ball into the corner. And if you are going to clear the ball into the sidewall, check if there's an opponent there first of all, and if there isn't an opponent here, check if there's an opponent in the middle. If there's an opponent in the middle, make sure that you hit the curve, because if the ball hits off the curve, of course it will go up the wall rather than bouncing into the center for the opponent to intercept. It's all about avoiding interceptions in Rocket League defense. And I think Ricks did this brilliantly, and that's why they looked so comfortable on the back foot for so long in this game. But that's just one instance of it. I'm not looking at this as a blame TRK for this game going to overtime. It is just a very good example of something I've noticed Sandrock struggling with on occasion, and something I notice players in Rocket League in general struggling with very often, is safely clearing the ball to the corners. So yeah, keep that in mind and try to do it in your own games. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of success. And as for Ricks and Sandrock, congrats to Ricks on their 3rd entry in the top 5 longest overtimes ever in Rocket League history. They've done it again. They weren't able to get the win, but at least they've survived an incredible length of time against one of the most unpredictable offenses in the entire world at the moment in Sandrock. And yeah, keep it up, Sandrock. Looking good. I think this is a big defensive improvement over what I've seen in other tournaments and in other matches recently, so I'm sure they can only get better if they keep practicing and stay on the grind. But that's all we've got time for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I said earlier, if you've got any other teams that you'd want to throw into the conversation of solo play potential, maximum solo play potential, leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to check them later, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching again.